Welcome to the Daily Parks and Rec Show. We highlight the essential work that keeps our parks and facilities thriving. Today, we're cutting into the future of facility maintenance with a trailblazer in innovation, Bryan Myers. Leading the charge with cutting-edge robotic lawn mowers, Bryan is reshaping the way we care for our parks. These smart machines are driving a major shift, boosting efficiency, saving time, and unlocking valuable resources for what matters most. Bryan's mission is to help the parks and recreation community redirect valuable resources. Think about finally making progress on that endless project backlog or putting more into community programs and enhanced maintenance. It's more than just mowing lawns. It's about smart strategies that strengthen and uplift our communities. Join us now as Bryan Myers helps lead the charge in facility maintenance, showing us how innovation is foundational to building resilient parks and recreation spaces.
At Beck Park, and he's just getting started with a demo of an Exmark unit. So,
Fantastic.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for being here. It's a beautiful day. It's so thank you all for coming. This is the new autonomous mower from Exmark. It's a 60-inch cutting platform rated at 2.5 acre per hour productivity. Out of a full tank of gas, you should get just shy of 11 acres of mow time. What we're going to be demonstrating today is the initial setup and the operation of the unit. I was just explaining that once we do an initial setup, the software will remember it on every visit. So whenever an operator were to come and deploy the unit, it would do the same job every time and remember it to within an inch. The location systems on the unit are redundant. It has, of course, GPS systems, also cellular, and RTK systems. So it does have locators in the front and back, so there's no need to point it in any given direction to start it. It'll just remember the mow pattern from the previous visit. So we're going to go ahead and mow a trial area. We're going to record a boundary. I think that goal right over there, and turn her loose. Is that okay?
sounds great.
Do we have any questions so far? No? Well, thanks, guys. All right, so first we are going to
So right now, the dashboard is showing us that we're looking for OCK, GPS, and cellular. You press the button to record the boundary, and I'll be right back to record the obstacle.
So right there, he just got satellite signal. I don't know if you could hear him or not, but he was able to get satellite signal, and now he's recording the boundary, and we'll record the obstacle of the goal. And after that's complete, he'll go through and set the motor in the area that he just created, and it'll be off to the races.
So he just kind of maps out the entire area that needs to get cut, and it just kind of remembers it, and then it just cuts it without an operator.
Correct. Yeah, correct. He's just going to be mowing the perimeter basically, and he's doing a narrower perimeter than what you otherwise would be doing if this were the park itself and setting it up for normal operation. This is just set up for this demo.
And does it
But
have any
it-
cameras on it, or how does it see at all? Kind of obstacle
yeah,
stuff?
it does. It has little sonar devices basically that are on the front corners of the machine. You can see we'll see them at the end here. I'll zoom in
Yeah.
on the unit after it's shut down.
All right.
But as you can see, it operates just like a normal stand-on unit. Normal height, stand-on operation. So there you can see those little devices that are used to collect information in the field. Just before we joined the call, he expressed that basically it'll stop with anything larger than a cat. So now he's going to mark the soccer goal as an obstacle so the mower doesn't get tangled up in that soccer goal. So we've recorded a boundary, we've recorded the obstacle, now we're ready to deploy it. So we move it into the field of operation, generating a towing pattern. So the engine you see running it is a Kohler 749 EFI, but the machine is technically a hybrid. The wheel motors, all the electronics run from a 48-volt system that's supplied by the generator, run by the internal combustion engine. Okay. I think that's important to realize because in the engineering design of this unit, it is that should we have the need to remove the internal combustion system and replace it with battery cells, we'll have the opportunity to do that. Okay. So right there, the motor shut down because we were inside that 3-foot radius. This is a protection shutdown. So. Start it back up. I don't know if you can see that. This is the mowing pattern that it generated. Here's the exclusion zone of the goal right here. Okay. So it's going to tell us that it's 34 minutes and 46 seconds before it completes the project.
It shows you the mowing pattern, and then once it's completed the mow, it will do 2 cleanup passes along the perimeter. So all the turnaround triangles will get cleaned up.
Sure.
So you will get a notification when it completes.
Okay.
You'll get a notification if somebody runs in front of it.
Okay.
You have a lot of flexibility and transparency when it comes to the operation of the unit, where it is, what it's doing, and who's operating too. You can assign different operators.
So each individual operator would have their own login, and you'd know who was operating based on that individual login.
Correct.
Okay.
I'm the user here.
And how many units could a single operator have?
Infinite.
Okay.
So, in fact, with the large properties that these are designed to satisfy, it would not be uncommon to have several in a fleet. Each one of those machines would know what to do should each of them be deployed in different. So, the subscription cost to that technology is $2,100 a year. That includes the RTK, cellular, the geo mapping, and of course the analytics that are in the app.
Okay.
So the software updates have been regular, each one providing it a little bit more benefit, like reduced start time, power cycle unit, should that need arise, can represent the most downtime up to 3.5 minutes.
Okay.
Number of properties that it can be deployed on are also infinite. So should there be a need for a 7-day work week at 6 hours a day cutting, then it can be deployed at all those large areas.
Yes. This cutting, tell.
Yes. But the way I would set that up, and I did an HOA with a few adjoining parks, they had just so instead of marking 3 separate areas, you mark one large area and then choose a section. All that we do, it's always once it completes, then we point it at an angle to do the diamond pattern.
Okay.
Love it. What are the dimensions of that mower?
It's a 60-inch unit. So the overall, like the shipping height and width, I have those statistics. I don't have them off the top of my head. It's different when the sulky is down or when it's up. But for the overall width is 60 inches.
And what's the price range for one of those units?
I'd have to double check the. Well, we're in a bid situation, right?
It'd be probably Sourcewell.
Oh, well, yeah.
Larry was mentioning that they are on Sourcewell, so that would be most likely our.
Yeah, I think we're going to avoid discussing price because municipalities, not-for-profit entities, receive different consideration. Certainly.
Right. And so you said one operator can operate multiple machines?
Yes. Should the need arise. Forgive me. I just want to qualify that question. Are we talking about 3 of those units on a trailer with 1 man that deploys them in different areas?
Right.
Well, that technically yes, but at this stage of the technology, this is supervised autonomous. We have an emergency stop button on that orange box that you saw me with. This isn't. Exmark is most proud of quality of cut and level of safety that we provide in terms of ANSI and ISO ratings. This technology is no different. It's still in its infancy, so a lot of the legislation that governs what can and cannot be done is still being worked through. What has been the types of rules, regulations, and quality controls that have been enacted, we either meet or exceed those expectations. So that's across all of the Exmark product line, but this technology, all of the components that are employed here, we boast that they meet or exceed those specifications.
Any idea of how many units y'all have deployed, at least in America so far?
Honestly, I don't. My area of responsibility is the Pacific Northwest. We only just started building this machine for production March of this year. We started receiving the very first shipments. This is actually one of the very first production run too. And I haven't had a bad experience yet. I've had sod farms, cemeteries, quite a few fun experiences with it. And I think what's most remarkable is a realization that in the near term or long, this is probably how it's all going to be done.
Mm-hmm.
So, pardon me?
Any other attachments to come, or is it we're now sticking to just mowing, or we're doing spreaders or anything else like that?
Well, the Exmark brand is the largest commercial cutter supplier in the United States. 2 to 1 of the largest commercial cutters use Exmark. So now that we've pioneered the technology that we developed, we have to determine what that's going to look like to them. Our claim to fame is the best quality of cut imaginable. So we also have turf management products like chemical application, both granular and liquid, aeration and turf management products. As it stands right now, this is the first permutation of that technology. We embarked on this about 5 years ago with the purchase of Left Hand Robotics. After that was the purchase of a software development company, and their sole task was developing this product. I was lucky enough to have the experience with the prototype last year, and it's met with terrific results so far.
Fantastic. And so what's the feedback from the clients, or how many clients do you personally have that are running a similar machine?
Well, actually, my very first order is the city of Anchorage. So I'm actually waiting to fly out there as soon as we're able to confirm we can take delivery. So do some setup on it. So I know that I think one of the very first production run like this went to a contractor in Indiana, in Indianapolis. And we have a lot of eyeballs on this project, given that this is our first production run. So it's a smaller contractor with big open spaces in Indiana. And from what we can tell, he's been deploying it 6 days a week with nothing but the best results. So I think that's probably the best success that I have heard of so far. So it's very exciting for us. The biggest question we have is, are we going to be producing smaller decks? The next biggest question is, are we going to be producing larger deck sizes? So, and it's all going to be, this is meant to be deployed in a commercial application. This is meant to go take the place of seasonal labor, and in areas of a shallow labor pool, and you combine that with maybe areas of higher labor cost, the math on an investment of something like this begins to work itself out, so much so that some operators can boast recovering their initial product investment in 12 months in one season. So between the cost of sourcing and onboarding the labor, the cost of maintaining the labor, and then the ancillary cost of paid time off, certainly injuries are not uncommon to put downtime in a crew. This technology is supposed to alleviate all of those things.
And so what's the training time? How long did it take you to learn how to operate that thing?
Not long at all. I know I'm new to your podcast, but if you've seen me operate machines before, there have been some that took longer than this for me to learn. So in fact, it's quite intuitive. If we were to look at the operator panel again, the dashboard, the stick man walking in a square to identify this is the button you press to record a boundary, followed by the obstacle exclamation point. They're universal symbols that make it very intuitive and operator friendly.
Fantastic.
It's been a very good experience so far.
Any interest in the Parks and Rec community? So the show, our entire media company is dedicated to Parks and Recreation. We have a 1-hour show 4 days a week just on facilities maintenance. So grass cutting is a big chunk of the facilities that they maintain.
I'm going to be at a park next Tuesday in Bellevue, the Seattle market. They'll be doing that next Tuesday. Washington State University is tomorrow, and I have another park. So I think we could talk offline and have you in on those too.
Yeah, let's Bryan, if you don't mind giving him are you on LinkedIn by any chance?
I am.
Okay. And what was your name again? Let me write it down, and I want to look you up on LinkedIn, and we'll try to
Jason Guile.
What was that one more time? JP?
Guile. G-E-I-L. Golf Echo Indigo Lima.
Got it. G-E-I-L. What was your first name again?
Jason.
Okay. Okay.
Kind of where we see this coming into play for the parks market is I see this as an element that's going to replace our big wide area batwing style mowers. And being able to put 2 of these on a small trailer that pretty much any staff can drive around, where it looks like it's going to pencil out at about break-even cost for a big batwing style mower versus this. Maybe slightly less than a big wide area mower would be. So the redundancy of having 2 machines that can do that kind of work versus having breakdowns, all of those dynamics, and then the staff time associated with training somebody on a stand-on type platform versus a big wide area mower, damage that it can do to a site and otherwise is kind of where we see things being. And then that frees up the staff that would be running these 2 machines to go through and do trimming and tie up nets on soccer goals or whatever it might be.
And that's the key value proposition, is to free your labor up for the more important task. This will do a better job more happily than the seasonal labor that you have to, because generally the most skilled labor that is any resource pool is not going to be doing the back and forth, like cutting. If you're at $23, $25 an hour, you can begin to see the math on a total return on investment in 12 months or 10 months, depending on your cut. When we get into $30, $32 an hour, $40 an hour in acreage, if you can find it.
Wow.
When the grass is going 24 hours a day, on a 4-day cutting cycle, it's incredible. The math works out pretty easy,
pretty quick. Sure.
So, but when we think about those ancillary costs of injuries or the paid time off, and I think the most infuriating for most of the folks that I talk to is the onboarding time, the resources associated with finding, bringing in, maintaining new employees. I think the trend over the last 24 or 36 months, unfortunately, is the longevity of those resources that are sourced. And, unfortunately, that longevity is becoming less and less. And that presents obviously more problems. And this technology is supposed to alleviate those concerns.
Is the 60-inch, is that the most common deck size for like the Parks and Rec industry, or in general? What's the most common deck size that y'all sell?
Well,
Commercial.
I know our department on the typical stand-on machine, we're typically running anywhere from 36 to 52. And our 72, 60-inch machines typically are a sit-down machine. So this is really a lighter weight platform that's capable of moving just as fast as what a sit-down machine would be. So it's going to be less weight, wear and tear on a trailer, less wear and tear on equipment, that sort of thing. The reason we wouldn't go with a stand-on or a sulky type machine with a wider platform is just employee endurance, right? If you can sit on a seat that's air ride or spring cushioned, I can get somebody to do that for a little longer in a day than I can get them to stand and operate a set of joysticks.
Operator comfort equals operator safety, and I've had a bit of experience in this, and the longevity of any given crew is almost entirely dependent on how comfortable they are throughout the course of the day. And there have been some platforms, operating systems that are less conducive to that. Certainly, the aeration crews suffer the most, you know. So,
Now, do those machines get paid holidays or paid time off?
whatever you're willing to provide.
Sick
Couple
leave?
cooks of whack. You know, it's funny you ask. You know, the most common deck size for the municipality, and I thought about that while you were answering it. It's really all over the board. Most of my business is Oregon and Washington, certainly the I-5 corridor being the most heavily populated. But really, there are so many different applications. The city of Leavenworth, much different than Beaverton or Hillsborough in Oregon. So, 60 seems to be pretty ubiquitous. It's between the 52 and the 60. It can get through most gates. It can still do a great job trimming. And it doesn't seem overwhelming for most trailer share. So trailering becomes much easier. When we start adding collection systems, even if it's just a side catcher, and we don't want to remove it, then we're adding 14, 18 inches to the side of the machine. That'll lend itself to a smaller deck size too.
Yeah.
So the other piece of it, not requiring a human to operate. Yes, you're supervising it, but not having a human on site, it lends itself to potentially having 2 mowings a week versus a single mowing. So you kind of reduce that potential need for collection anyway.
Again, it's supervised autonomous. We want to make sure, and again, it's something that it may sound redundant. I mentioned it often, only because it's so important that the level of safety that we have built into all of the equipment that we make is just unparalleled, and that helps make it a very sought after product. But it's exciting to see this deployed, and I think that once we see more of that in the field, it creates its own momentum. I think the initial acceptance is sometimes the early adopters are the most, even there are some very difficult folks to convince. I think about some of the low power technology that's been employed for, I think, the better part of 2 decades now across Scandinavia and Europe, even in the public parks departments where the cables are buried all over and little tiny units would just go out and shave the grass every day. To mention to the operators of those parks departments that you have a great machine for an operator to sit on and mow those parks, I think would be absolutely unheard of.
Yeah. What are the other common questions that you're getting from people?
Sorry, forgive me?
What are the other common questions that you're getting from people?
Common questions you're getting from people.
Common question. How soon can we take delivery?
Yeah. Yes.
Are they cheaper by the dozen? The answer is yes. Well, it's not to belabor the point, but safety is a key concern, especially when dealing with. I mean, over here we have a playground, and I feel confident that if we were to deploy this unit after marking the obstacles of the trees in this area, should a child run out, I feel confident no one would have any concern at all. So, and I'm confident because it's happened a few times.
Good deal. Yeah, well, thank you so much for demoing that. I want to reach out to you on LinkedIn, and maybe we can have you on the show to give a little more details and just find out a little bit more about your product, because I know a lot of the Parks and Rec maintenance people are excited to kind of see this come in.
right there, just shut down with 6 feet of distance.
Future.
Man, that's the future right there.
Well, when we start testing our drones that laser your lawn from space, I want to be on your podcast.
That's it. That's it. Well, this is some of the greatest technology. I think I was an early adopter of the Tesla, and so that thing's been driving me all over God's creation. And so I was waiting for this to leap into this industry, and I'm so glad to see it here.
I can't get my wife out of hers. I'll tell you what.
It's like
Sorry.
it's like a little what do you call it? Like a pod or something. You can almost live in it.
The Jetsons. I just can't stop thinking about it.
That's right. That's right.
Well, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you having me on your show. Thank you very much. It's very kind of you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank y'all. And thank you for setting this up, Bryan. We'll be in touch. And thank you for coming on the show.
You bet. Thanks, Craig.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you later.
All right. All right. So that was Bryan Myers over in Post Falls, Idaho with Exmark. They have just started producing in March of this year. So it goes to show you how recent this technology has reached manufacturing capacity. I know there's a lot of people doing research on it, but you know, there's a long, hard road between the laboratory and the design phase and then mass production. And so to see some of these big companies come into mass production, and now we see units being taken delivery and being sold and giving demos. So we definitely want to highlight this for the facilities maintenance show, because I think this is a big game changer. And we want to make sure that Parks and Recreation are leading the charge with adopting new technology that helps streamline their operations. And so here at the Daily Parks and Rec Show on the Facilities Maintenance Show, we want to make sure we highlight a lot of these companies that are doing this and try to get this into as many park departments as we can so that they can do more with less, because we know their budgets are strained. And so this will be a way for them to kind of streamline their operation and kind of give them more, not just manpower, but robot power out there. So glad that Bryan reached out to me. Hopefully we'll have Jay on the show to maybe give us a little more in depth. And thank y'all for attending. We'll see y'all tomorrow with another great show in facilities maintenance. We also have a show following that leadership series. And then don't forget, on Thursday, we have our Youth Sports Mastery, and then our YPN show on Friday. So y'all have a great day. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Welcome to the Daily Parks and Rec Show, where we highlight the essential work that keeps our parks and facilities thriving. From local ball fields to multi-use athletic complexes, field maintenance ensures every space is safe, ready, and welcoming for play and community events. Facility maintenance is the backbone of operational excellence, ensuring that recreation centers, playgrounds, and shared spaces are functional, clean, and built to last. Behind the scenes, equipment maintenance keeps vital tools and machinery in peak condition. At the core of future-forward thinking is sustainability management, integrating green practices that reduce environmental impact and enhance long-term resource stewardship. Facilities maintenance is more than routine upkeep. It's strategic, essential, and foundational to building healthy and resilient communities. This is the Daily Parks and Rec Show, honoring the professionals who keep our spaces running and our communities strong.